Welcome to News Night. I'm JV Buno.
I'm Noelle Webster.
And I'm Manon James.
In today's news, we'll start talking about last night. There was a lot of hype going into President Barack Obama's first speech to Congress. I watched it. It was very entertaining. Here from CNN, President Obama on Tuesday outlined an ambitious agenda that requires significant resources, even as he aims to halve the deficit by the end of his term. The deficit referring to the debt our country is in and the stimulus package that is planned to fix it. In his first speech to a joint session of Congress, President Obama said it's time to act boldly, not just to revive the economy, but to build a new foundation for lasting prosperity. While the cost of action will be great, I can assure you that the cost of inaction will be far greater. That's a quote from our president. He focused on three priorities of the budget that he's going to be presenting, more in depth to Congress later this week. The three being energy, healthcare, and education. Did you guys see the speech?
I didn't.
It was pretty. It was powerful. I was a fan of it. Obama is, just such a great, public speaker. He's, very, very strong. The way he speaks, the words he uses, and he also mixed it up a little bit when he was talking about Joe Biden. He goes, he was talking about his vice president Joe Biden, and he goes, "No one messes with Joe," and there was a huge round of applause. So it was a good speech last night, and I think we're going to see a lot more speeches like that from our president in years to come.
Heath Ledger's last film, The Imaginarium of Dr. Parnassus, is apparently having trouble making a deal to get released in the U.S. It's an indie flick directed by Terry Gilliam, who's done movies like 12 Monkeys and Brazil. It's about a traveling magician who gives customers a little more than they bargained for. When Ledger died in the middle of production, the project's fate was thrown into question until Jude Law, Colin Farrell, and Johnny Depp stepped in. With all three part of an elaborate workaround that has the actors playing different parts of Ledger's role. That saved the production for a little while, but the sales process since has then been nearly as complicated. A number of U.S. buyers during the summer and early fall were said to be interested, but apparently all of them have dropped out. Even with the hook of Heath Ledger, it's apparently a very hard movie to distribute. Gilliam has grown more experimental in his later films. Fans of him will be very upset in that it won't appeal to the general audiences. So they're still expecting to make a deal shortly because they're not going to not release Heath Ledger's film. But they're apparently only going to be able to get a mini major or a larger indie company to pick it up. So, I don't know, I feel like you could market that pretty easily just because it is Heath Ledger's last movie. And even though people think that Terry Gilliam's a little more weird now than he used to be, I think that you can still market that pretty well.
Yeah, sure. I mean, the hype right now with Heath Ledger, especially after winning an Academy Award, I think that film could garnish a lot of attention. Even as chaotic as it sounds, with three actors coming in to fill in that role.
That's the other thing. They got Johnny Depp, who's generally considered one of the best character actors to join in. Jude Law and Colin Farrell are also very well respected. So I feel like they shouldn't be having this much trouble, and a company not picking this up is probably a mistake.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be awkward to see four actors
playing the same role.
But,
and it's a pretty trippy movie anyway, it sounds like. So.
Maybe that's a reason to see it, though.
Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. All right. As NASA prepares to search for other Earth-like planets in our part of the Milky Way, reports have come out stating that Star Trek's version of life in the universe may not be that far off from reality. It is estimated that there could be as many as 100 billion planets that hold life in just our galaxy. This does not mean that all hold intelligent life. Some may be as primitive as bacteria. However, the idea of each solar system having a planet like ours, I think is a really exciting, idea. So.
This is a story that's very exciting.
Yes, it is. I like the idea of it.
Well, yeah, I mean, you think about it when you're looking at the stars at night. And
yeah. Well, you always wonder, is there anything else out there? And it's a pretty big waste of space if there isn't, so.
Yeah, but I don't know, the idea that, somebody else could be looking for us, I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah,
We're
so
doing the same thing.
like looking for each other.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's bacteria, right?
Yeah.
Like even the smallest single cell organism would even be an amazing find historical.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, something a little bit close at home, a lot close at home for fans of Rihanna. Chris Brown may have a little bit of a temper problem. For those of you who don't know, or right before the Grammys, which was a couple of weeks ago, Chris Brown had a little bit of an accident with Rihanna. The report was that there was some physical abuse, and as of now, Chris Brown has checked into a anger management program, according to his agent Michael Sitrick. So the R&B singer, who had physically abused Rihanna before the Grammys, has checked into anger management. So Chris Brown probably has temper problem. But did you guys see the photo that was leaked onto the web
Yeah.
of Rihanna? It
I heard
was
about
it was really brutal.
I was like, it was very brutal.
She was abused. It was pretty blatant, and so I mean Chris Brown is still young. I think he's only 17 or 18 years old. So
Yeah, he's very young, just like Rihanna.
yeah, they're both very young. So hopefully he gets some help.
Yeah. For those of you who haven't heard of the upcoming movie The Expendables, it is Sylvester Stallone's new movie that's trying to gather pretty much any action star that it can get its hands on. Originally the film only had Stallone, Jason Statham, and Jet Li on board, but since then they've gotten a whole bunch of others, including Dolph Lundgren, Mickey Rourke, Forrest Whitaker, and many, many others. Van Damme was apparently offered a role by Stallone, but when Van Damme asked Stallone what kind of character he would be playing, Stallone said, "Look, you're just going to make a lot of money. Do you want in?" And Van Damme apparently said that he wouldn't agree because he wanted to know what kind of character he was playing, which I wasn't aware that Van Damme cared about characters. But the latest big action star to be confirmed for a cameo is Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I think pretty much just wraps it up to every big action star right there. And he will apparently be playing himself in the upcoming film.
Oh, wow.
Wait, so is Stallone going to be in the movie?
Yeah.
So Stallone and Schwarzenegger.
Stallone, Schwarzenegger, we got Dolph Lundgren from Rocky IV
Oh my.
back.
Dude,
I don't know if they have a script.
Oh, wow.
I think they just got a lot of machine guns.
just a lot of guns and a lot of huge biceps and just anybody who's basically been a big action star.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
That's awesome.
It's gonna make so much money.
Yeah.
We're gonna go see it, and it's gonna be awful.
And it's gonna be hilarious.
Yeah. It's gonna be so bad, it's funny.
Exactly.
Yep.
Alright, a college dean in Ohio has resigned due to a spray painting incident. Apparently, the college where the dean was in office shares parking with a neighboring campus. And one of the signs on the other campus had an incorrect arrow regarding the parking lots. So then the dean was caught changing the arrow on the sign with a spray paint can on February 15th. The college stated that it does not condone such activities. So the dean, who has been there since 2005, put in her resignation. So I thought that was very strange.
It is very strange.
That's an interesting way to go out.
Yeah.
50-year-old dean.
Yeah, I mean,
Spray painting an arrow.
I really didn't. I mean, if you go to the college, I didn't think it would be that big of a deal. And then now she tried to change an arrow and she had to resign for it. So it's just like comedy of errors. I don't know.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's interesting. In Albany news, though, do not text while driving. Well, that's basically just for ethical reasons, because it's dangerous, but also because we are nearing a ban in Schenectady County that's going to be taking effect somewhat soon. The proposal is basically being pushed forward to offices in Schenectady County and could be passed as early as the first week of March. For those of you who don't know, for right now in Albany County, there is a fine for $150 for texting while driving, and now it looks like it's going to be passed in Albany County. Same violation, $150 for texting. It's not going to go. It's not going to go into effect until first week of March, but it's probably going to take effect on Sunday. It's probably going to be passed. So, I mean, obviously don't text while driving for the reasons that it's just dangerous. But if a cop spots you, you're going to be pulled over. You're going to get a $150 ticket. So is it worth it? To send out a couple of
I don't
words.
know.
So I don't think you need to respond to, hey, what's up? So,
Yeah. Not that urgent.
The BBC reports that a new condition stemming from excessive gaming has been noted in the British Journal of Dermatology. Swiss doctors first identified the condition, which has been dubbed PlayStation palmar hidradenitis, after examining a 12-year-old girl afflicted with painful bumps on the palms of her hands. Thinking it was related to sweating, the doctors eventually figured out that it was because she was playing a whole lot of PlayStation, which explained why it didn't occur on her feet. Also incriminating is the fact that 10 days away from gaming, her condition completely disappeared. Having a disorder named after their primary gaming brand is certainly a bummer for Sony. They're not very happy about it. But the company might find comfort in longtime rival Nintendo, who also has a lot of things called Wii-itis, which is people getting tendinitis from playing Wii Sports a little too aggressively. So Sony put out a statement saying that, they put warnings and everything, like you shouldn't play for too long, and they feel that they shouldn't have a disorder named after them. But either way, I think that's hilarious and sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember when the Wii was first released, and there were all these stories that the controller was slipping out people's hands. It would go over the little protective lanyard that they have on it, and it would go into people's televisions and break like a $2,000 television, and Nintendo was getting sued. So a lot, Wii Sports. You ever played it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I think
pretty.
Wii Boxing is the most destructive.
Yeah, it's very active. You get really into it, and before you know it, you're like sweating, and you're all
Yeah.
Okay.
crazy.
All right. A Turkish airline flight crashed Wednesday morning when trying to land at an airport in Amsterdam. The plane, carrying 134 passengers, broke into 3 pieces on impact. At first, the airline reported that none of the passengers were harmed, but later it was confirmed that at least 9 people had died and more than 50 passengers were injured. It's not clear at this point what caused the crash. So that was pretty serious.
Yeah, no, that's a good deal of people getting hurt.
Yeah. And they no idea. They just went in for a landing, and instead of hitting the landing strip, I guess they went into the field next to it. So they have no idea what caused the miscalculation or anything.
Yeah, it seems like there's been a lot of winds in the Northeast the past few months. There have been planes swirling all over the place. I remember the Hudson Miracle was obviously was big, but plane safety is becoming more and more of a topic.
Yeah, definitely.
So maybe be a little more cautious next time you go on a plane. In sports news, Tiger Woods is back. He's going to be playing today, actually, in the Match Play Championship at Accenture. It's his first golf action since winning the U.S. Open in that thrilling extra day playoff with Rocco Mediate. Tiger Woods, still a young guy, is going for the record for most majors. He is expected to be playing at the Masters Championship at Augusta, and he's also going to be playing at the U.S. Open in the coming months. So Tiger Woods, the face of golf, is back. Also in sporting news, New York Knicks' Stephon Marbury has been released after reaching a buyout with the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks basically will be gaining approximately $2 to $3 million in salary space. So the economy is definitely affecting all facets of sports, even an organization as big as the Knicks. Stephon Marbury has been rumored to be joining the Boston Celtics. If he signs before March 1st, he will get to play on a playoff roster. So Stephon Marbury, the 5-year Knick, no longer will be playing at Madison Square Garden, at least not in the blue, orange, and white that we're used to seeing him in. So he is done as a Knick, and it's kind of sad because he grew up in New York City, and he was you always talk about how he dreamed of playing for the Knicks, and he always watched the Knicks as a kid, and now and it ended awfully with the organization. So now he's going to be playing for, I guess, a rival in Boston.
Yeah, that is sad.
Yeah, it is very sad.
Since last year's Oscars had the lowest ratings in Oscars history, this year they decided to mix things up a bit and hire Hugh Jackman as the host. This year's Oscars ended up beating last year's ratings by 4.3 million viewers, which was about, which, while sounds that good, it really wasn't because it's still the second lowest in the past 10 years. So, unfortunately, it looks like the Oscars still don't get that many ratings. I think it's because they go too late here.
I think it's just because they're getting a bad rep.
Yeah.
I think because actors, you know, like even Sean Penn, we all know Sean Penn would not have shown if he didn't know he was going to win, because every year he's nominated, he only shows up if he knows he's going to win.
Yeah.
So the second I saw him on the red carpet, it was like, oh, he's going to win for Milk. But yeah, the Oscars don't have that good of a reputation. But yes, it going late at night also is not helping it at all. So that does it for this episode of Newsnight. I'm JB Buno.
I'm Noelle Webster.
And I'm Manon James.
Thank you for tuning in and have a great night.